Hello, welcome back to Learn Economy. In this video, we are going to look into the fiscal policy and rest of the world, the connection between the fiscal policy and its impact on the rest of the world, or the connection between fiscal policy and the rest of the world, to be more clear. Fiscal policy, we know that it is actually the policy taken by the central government of an economy. So it describes the changes to government spending and revenue behavior in an effort to influence the economy. Expansionary fiscal policy could result in rising the interest rate, growing trade deficit, and accelerating inflation. This is particularly done especially during healthy economic expansion. So if the government is intended to make any kind of economic expansion, this would require the creation of effective demand in the economy. So in order to stimulate effective demand, what the government does is that it will go for expansionary fiscal policy. Fiscal policy would affect the aggregate demand through changes in government spending and taxation. So those factors which influence the employment, household income, etc., should also come into play here as well. Fiscal policy is considered to be an important instrument to stabilize the economy, that is to overcome the recession kind of situation in order to control inflation, and also the government use fiscal policy. Actually, the kind of economic scenario that is prevailing would make the government think and act on it accordingly. So if there is recession, the economy or the government will make, or it would take certain policy sets in order to overcome the problem of recession. And if there is inflation, the government would go for certain kind of policies in order to get away from the problem of inflation. Fiscal policy, there are two kinds: discretionary fiscal policy and non-discretionary fiscal policy. Fiscal policy, therefore, involves the use of government spending, taxation, as well as transfer payments to influence aggregate demand. There are basically three tools inside fiscal policy. As I have already told you, this involves the taxation, public spending, and also the borrowing kind of behavior by the government. Fiscal policy would suffer if the government has some poor information. For example, if the market gives the government some kind of wrong information, the government would not be able to distinguish between the wrong information and right information, because the government would be getting only the signals received from the market. If the market gives wrong signals to the government, that will make the government to go for wrong policies, which will create further problems in the economy. For example, if the government believes that there is going to be a recession, they will try to increase the aggregate demand in the economy. However, if this forecast was wrong, the economy will grow too fast, and this will impact the economy negatively. Government practices spending more than it takes in the form of taxes. This is mainly out of borrowing by the government. A shortfall in the tax revenue from the government spending would be met by borrowing. Inability to get quick action on fiscal policy because of the way in which the government operates. For example, so there can be many problems in the economy. The government has to take into consideration all the problems and prevailing economic scenario in order to go for the right kind of fiscal policy. The government cannot completely believe the signals given by the market. The government has to go for a separate kind of understanding and analysis of the market situation. Then only after cross-checking only, the government can go for the right kind of policies. Government can use wage and price controls to fight inflation, but that can cause recession as well as job losses. Government can employ a contractionary monetary policy to fight. This monetary policy is not in the hands of the government. It is taken entirely by the central bank of an economy. But this too is a kind of policy which is taken to tackle the problem of inflation, recession, etc. in the economy. So the government has to distinguish between contractionary fiscal policy and expansionary fiscal policy. If the goal is to reduce inflation in the economy, then it has to go for contractionary fiscal policy, and if the goal is to take the economy out of recession, then it has to go for expansionary fiscal policy. So whether the government is going for expansionary fiscal policy or contractionary fiscal policy, this would have its impact upon several indicators or several aspects of the economy, like employment, business cycle, inflation, cost of money, etc., which will have a huge impact on the entire economy, which would further affect our terms of trade and the trade relations, as well as our other kind of investment patterns, etc., with the rest of the world. For example, if there is inflation in the economy, inflation means our the price level in the economy increases. So if the price level in the economy increases, that will have implication about the trade, that trade relation that we have with the other country. For example, if the value of our currency comes down, what happens is that we can go for more exports. This will help in promotion of exports, because if the foreigners purchase our commodity, they will be paying less. They need to pay only less amount of money, so they will be encouraged to buy from us. But in the case of imports, it is not that good, because if it is our value is less, that means that a foreign country will be importing to our country, but they will be getting only less. So it is important to see that in the case of an inflationary kind of situation, our export act in one manner and our import act in another manner. So the same thing applies to the case of recession kind of situation. And also we could see that the kind of policies taken by the government also help in the creation of employment opportunities. And for example, if the government is spending a lot in the name of providing training to the unemployed persons and all, this will have to make the unemployed persons in the economy trained, so that they can get employment opportunities in some other countries. So this too is considered to be a kind of relation or ship between the fiscal policy in one country and the rest of the world. And also business cycle, the government acting manner, or the steps taken by the government in a particular economy would affect the aggregate demand in that economy, and this will have impact upon the business cycle in that economy, which will play a very important role in affecting the world business cycle. This is mainly because we are living in a world where we are promoting foreign direct investment, foreign portfolio investment and all. That means that we are actually owning a share of not only our economy, many companies are actually they're don't just leave about the case of people, but you have to understand that, especially in the scenario of this multinational corporations, multinational companies and all, a particular company would be having their shares invested in different countries. So in this case, the business cycle movements in all these economies would affect these multinational corporations, the profit of that multinational corporation. So it's very much important to analyze not only these things, but also there are many other ways in which the fiscal policy of one economy would affect the entire world. So it's very important to understand that fiscal policy effects is not restricted to the economy in which the fiscal policy is taken, or the government takes a fiscal policy. The impact of the same would be felt by the rest of the world as well. So it's very important to understand that. With that we end. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel for more videos, and I welcome you to my Telegram group and Telegram channel to discuss your doubts, and thank you for watching.